Do you have a leaking wall crack in your basement? If so, you may have been told to use some type of crack filler. But which crack filler should you use? And is that even the right solution? Dry Guys has over 30 years of experience in the foundation repair industry, and we've helped over 15,000 customers fix their leaking wall cracks. We're backed by Contractor Nation with over 30 years of experience in innovative foundation repair techniques, which boasts hundreds of thousands of satisfied customers. Let's cover the pros and cons of different types of crack fillers, ranging from Miracle Goo to epoxies to foam. This video is part of a larger series of foundation repair and waterproofing videos that cover all the different types of solutions out there, so make sure not to miss those. Now let's begin. Before we get into the details, we need to start by saying that if you have block walls, stone walls, or if your poured concrete foundation does not have leaking wall cracks, this solution is not for you. You might find the answer you're looking for in one of our other videos. Now let's say you do have a poured concrete foundation with leaking cracks. This is the appropriate time to use the methods discussed here. What causes leaking cracks? Even if you don't plan on finishing your basement, you still want to make sure it isn't going to fail on you. So when you see a crack, you may start to panic. The thing about concrete cracks is that they're not always cause for alarm. These things are very common. And here's why. The season the wall was poured in can affect the concrete's quality. Extreme heat or low humidity can affect the pour. Often, water is added to the concrete to keep it loose for additional working time. But even a cup of water added to a yard of concrete can dramatically weaken the finished product. Extreme cold can affect the final finish of the wall, making it pocked and flaky. In extreme cases, it can also weaken the finished product. Poor workmanship will also affect the quality. If the concrete wasn't vibrated properly, a long seam will show where the pour started and overlap where it finished. Vibrating the concrete is an essential part of a quality job and a strong foundation. Usually though, it's just a result of the concrete shrinking as part of the curing process. The Hoover Dam is still curing after all these years. You'll often see these types of cracks in the middle third of the wall or from the corner of a window, which is a weak spot in the wall. This is most likely not a structural problem if it is only a hairline crack. If you live in a new house and you see this, it doesn't mean your builder is evil, but it does mean you could face the common problem of water entering through the crack. It's always best to have a foundation repair professional check it out. So, how to fix this? Before getting into crack fillers, the first thing you can do is find the crack by digging it up and patching it from the outside. The pros to this? Well, you might fix the crack temporarily. The cons far outweigh the pros. First, this method is messy if you have to create a big hole, which also makes it dangerous. Second, that freshly disturbed soil is going to fill with water on the next rain, testing your patch and putting pressure on the wall. Third, if that repair fails and it keeps leaking, you have to dig up that hole all over again and grind off the old patch. Fourth, there might be something preventing you from digging, such as a sidewalk, porch, or expensive shrubbery. Also, concrete doesn't stick to concrete without the use of bonding agents, hence why it's temporary. Because of this being the hardest, most time-consuming, and expensive method, many have developed techniques to patch the crack from the inside of the basement. So, this brings us to the crack fillers. How do these work? All the different types of crack fillers aim for one thing: to fill that crack up and stop it from leaking, hopefully for good. There are 3 common types of crack filler in use today. The first filler is a concrete patching compound, and it's the most common. If the crack on the wall is too small, you need to chisel it out first to make the crack big enough for the compound to fit inside. Even if you do this, your chances of success are still slim. This is because changes in soil humidity and temperature can all make your wall move, especially if you have expansive soil. This filler either splits in the middle or loses its bond with the concrete, and you're back to the beginning. So for the concrete patching compound, the pro is that it can work if your wall doesn't move. The con is that it doesn't work if there is movement because it isn't flexible. And the thing is, all poured foundations move with temperature and humidity changes. Additionally, the crack continues below the floor to the footing. So there is still a part of the crack you can't patch, and that area will continue to leak. When poured walls became popular in the late 80s, one of the only methods available was to inject epoxy into the crack. It works like crazy glue, usually clear or light gray, goes in as a thick liquid, sticks well, dries hard. But epoxy isn't flexible enough to allow wall movement. When the wall does move, the epoxy either breaks loose or a new crack develops. So for the epoxy injection, the pros and cons are the same as the concrete filler. Because of the wall movement problem, the third method was invented. It's a foam injection that can be put into the crack and dries like a rubbery material. This material is flexible, so it can move move with the wall. That's good, in theory, except for when there's dirt or silt in the crack. This prevents a good bond to the sides of the crack. The same is true for the previous two methods as well. So for the urethane injection, the pro is that it is more flexible than the previous methods. The con is that a fair amount still leaks because of the possibility of a bad bond. Realistically, all these methods can work. They just don't work all the time and in every situation. They also don't tend to stand the test of time, as is evidenced by all these old cracks we've been called to refill. Our policy at Dry Guys is to keep your basement dry all the time and to only do the work once. Our relationship with basement systems allows us to do that because they have a fourth and innovative solution. It's called the FlexiSpan. The great thing about FlexiSpan is that it provides protection on several levels. This seal goes to the footing under the floor for maximum coverage. For this, we put a small drywall under the crack. If you have a full perimeter system or a stone bed under your floor, the drywall will connect to that. We prep and seal the crack with a flexible sealant specifically designed for concrete. We can also use a foam injection if needed for tougher installs. Then, we put a special polyurethane ether foam strip over the first seal. This foam strip is a secondary drainage system. Then, it is overlaid with a polyurethane sealant and tooled off to look like a gray drywall compound joint. Lastly, the opening in the floor is reconcreted. If any water ever gets past the seal, it drains down into the dry well. This ensures you have a dry wall and a dry floor forever because FlexiSpan is, well, flexible. So flexible that no amount of wall movement will make it leak again. We back it with a 5-year warranty. At what point are crack fillers not recommended? FlexiSpan and these other solutions are ideal for 1 or 2 cracks, but if you have multiple cracks, you may want to consider installing a full water guard perimeter system, combined with Fomax or a thermal dry wall, to direct any future leaks directly into the water guard without doing anything else to them. When you fix a crack individually, you only have a warranty for that crack, not on the rest of the wall or the floor. The full system protects you from future problems. Fomax and thermal dry have the added benefit of insulating your basement walls and saving you money on your energy bill as well. If your cracks are very large, or if you run your finger across a foundation crack and it's uneven, meaning one side is higher than the other, you should get advice from a foundation repair contractor. Big cracks indicate wall buckling or vertical movement in your foundation, usually caused by unstable soils, swelling, and shrinking. Most waterproofing contractors are not structural repair contractors. They may talk a good game, but ask them these questions to be sure. Can you straighten out my bowed wall? Can you lift the sinking corner of my house back into position? We at Dry Guys do both, and we've seen it all. We believe a project should be done right and done once. An extra tip, leaking pipe penetrations can be dealt with in the same way as wall cracks. Pipes can have lots of movement in and out of the wall as they expand and contract along their length. All of the methods discussed have been done with pipes as well. Based on the situation, FlexiSpan can also be used on a pipe penetration for a reliable, effective cure. Here is a chart to quickly review the pros and cons of each system. You don't have to worry about water in your basement. Dry Guys has you covered. If you don't live in the South Jersey area or in Chester and Delaware counties in Pennsylvania, you can still call us and we will find a basement systems dealer near you that offers the same products and caliber of work as Dry Guys. Not dealing with water in your basement can lead to much more serious issues such as mold and an increasingly unstable foundation, even higher energy bills. Understand what your options are and get someone with plenty of experience, not only with basement waterproofing or foundation repair, but also with the specific soil conditions in your area. Stay tuned for more foundation repair videos in the future, and in the meantime, watch our testimonials of homeowners just like you.